नमस्कार, सुस्वागतम, अभिनंदन, केम छो, आदाबार्स, राम राम, राधे राधे, सत श्री अकाल, ए वेरी गुड आफ्टरनून। मैं अनिल भारद्वाज आप सभी का 81वें PRL के अमृत व्याख्यान में स्वागत करता हूं, अभिनंदन का। I, Anil Bharadwaj, very warmly welcome all of you for the 81st PRL Amrit Vyakhyaan. This is also the 6th Vyakhyaan of our monthly series of Vyakhyaan, which we started after completing the 75 Vyakhyaan episodes of series of Vyakhyaan, which we started on 6th of August 2021. PRL, established in the year 1947, is celebrating its Platinum Jubilee as we celebrate Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav on the completion of 75 years of independence. So PRL Amrit Vyakhyaan has been a series which is being organized by PRL to celebrate the history and legacy of PRL in the area of fundamentals, physics and space sciences. Today, that is 14th of June, Wednesday, 4 p.m. We have yet another very distinguished Vyakhyaan with us today. And last monthly Vyakhyaan, we had Wing Commander, and today we have a Colonel. Colonel Christopher REGO, who has been in Indian Army, and subsequent to that, he is the founder and CEO of Sunburn Trust Bank. And he is going to speak to us on peace through education in Northeast India. We are really grateful and thank Colonel to be with us today at this PRL Amrit Vyakhyaan. And we thank our colleague Janardhan to get in touch with him and request him at a short notice to join us in PRL in person for the PRL Amrit Vyakhyaan. So with these few words, I will now request my colleague Professor Janardhan to introduce Colonel Christopher REGO, or in short, Chris REGO, to our audience here, as well as those who have joined us live on the PRL YouTube channel. So over to you, Jerry.
Thank you, Mr. Bhabra, for having given this short background for this series of talks. Before I introduce today's speaker, I would like to add that Professor Vikram Sarabhai, the founder of PRL, focused his prodigious energies on one simple vision, namely to improve the lives of the underprivileged people of this nation. So towards that end, he painted on a very broad canvas that covered science, engineering, business, entrepreneurship, what have you. Then for this series of talks, which was Professor Bhardwaj's brainchild, and which he is too modest to say himself, is the most unique and perfect way to celebrate both 75 years of PRL and to continue to celebrate the life and contributions of Vikram Sarabhai through these monthly Vyakhyans as PRL moves ahead through the decades. So ladies and gentlemen, both here and in the audience, here in the audience and those following this talk online, a very warm welcome to you all. Our speaker today is Colonel Christopher REGO, an old friend of mine. We went to school together, I would say sometime in the Jurassic era, in the early 70s. Meeting him today brought back a flood of memories of those tension-free, carefree, and very importantly, technology-free and fun-filled days in school. There was no TV, no internet, no phones, nothing. After graduating from the National Defense Academy at Khadagwasla, Colonel Christopher REGO spent a year at the Indian Military Academy in Dehradun and was then commissioned into the Army Corps of Engineers in 1984. He then obtained a civil engineering degree from the College of Military Engineering at Napoleon, Pune. Colonel REGO served 2 extended tenures in insurgency and conflict-affected Mizoram and Manipur during his time in the army. And during this time, both he and his wife noted the obvious connection to the lack of education and empowerment to the radicalization of youth against their own country. Wishing to make a difference, they conceived of this concept, peace through education, and started sponsoring underprivileged children using their own resources. Towards that objective, the Sunbird Trust, a humanitarian, non-sectarian, non-religious NGO, was born in 2014. In 2016, for his innovative approach to building peace and amity, Colonel REGO was awarded the prestigious International Ashoka Fellowship from South Asia. To put this award in context, Ashoka Fellows are the world's leading social entrepreneurs. They champion innovative new ideas that transform society's systems, providing benefits for everyone and improving the lives of millions of people. Last year, Colonel Christopher REGO was featured as one of 10 armed forces Karma Yogis in a book, and note the title, entitled Success from Being Mad, inspiring real-life stories of 10 mad veterans of the Indian Armed Forces who successfully carried their madness to the entrepreneur world. Currently, Sunbird Trust has helped raise 25 schools and hostels in the Northeast, which impact the lives and destinies of over 10,000 children, underprivileged children. Colonel REGO is an author, a traveler, a pianist, a guitarist, a nature enthusiast, and an amateur herpetologist, and a fairly accomplished athlete. He's written several books, including a travelogue on Kerala and one on the history of the Bombay Sappers. I would now like to invite Colonel Christopher REGO to deliver his talk, and before that, I would like to thank you for having accepted our invitation and changed all your travel plans to be here at short notice. We're privileged and honored. And the speaker would like to start his presentation with a small 4-minute video. So can I call upon Suraj to start that video? And Chris, the floor is yours. Chris?
बत्तीस साल इंडियन आर्मी की सर्विस में मैंने कई तरह की बुलेट्स देखी हैं, लेकिन सबसे पावरफुल बुलेट्स कुछ अलग ही हैं। उनका रंग भी अलग, वो है व्हाइट बुलेट्स, और आज मैं उन्हीं की बात करना चाहता हूं। My name is Colonel Chris REGO. I've just retired from the army after serving 32 years in uniform. Jai Hind. नॉर्थ ईस्ट हमारे देश का बहुत ही खूबसूरत हिस्सा है। यहाँ के लोग, यहाँ का संगीत बहुत ही प्यारा है, लेकिन यहाँ की मुश्किलें बाकी जगहों से काफी अलग है। जैसे क्रॉस बॉर्डर टेररिज्म, कॉन्फ्लिक्ट्स और कम्युनिटीज के बीच तनाव। यहाँ आर्मी और उनके परिवार को सिक्योरिटी के बिना मार्केट जाना भी मुश्किल था। I myself happened to experience a bomb blast during one of my 2 tenures when I was posted over here. ऐसे में एक रात किसी ने हमारे घर का दरवाजा खटखटाया। दरवाजा खोला तो देखा एक ट्राइबल औरत खड़ी थी। वो अपनी बेटी को आगे पढ़ाने के लिए हमारी मदद मांगने आई थी। उस रात अपनी सेविंग उन्हें देने के अलावा मुझे और मेरी वाइफ को कोई रास्ता नजर नहीं आया। लगभग 2 साल बाद वही औरत एक कद्दू, अपने हाथों से बुनी हुई एक शॉल, उधार ली हुई पूरी रकम और आंखों में एक नई सी चमक लिए हुए खड़ी थी। अपनी पढ़ाई के साथ साथ उसकी बेटी ने पाई पाई जोड़ के वो पैसे हमें लौटाए थे। उस दिन मानो हमारी आंखें खुल गईं। शिक्षा एक इंसान की जिंदगी में कितनी अहमियत रखती है, ये एहसास हमें उस दिन हुआ और उसी एहसास ने हमारे लिए सनबर्ड फाउंडेशन की पहली नींव रखी। मेरे और मेरी वाइफ के साथ शुरू हुए इस छोटे से अभियान में हम जैसे कई और लोग जुड़ते गए। मुझे कहने में गर्व होता है कि आज सनबर्ड ट्रस्ट करीब 1000 बच्चों की सभी जरूरतों का ख्याल रखता है। उनमें से ज्यादातर लड़कियां ही हैं। सिर्फ रसोई तक ही सीमित रहने वाली लड़कियां आज एयर होस्टेस बनकर दुनिया देख रही हैं। सॉफ्टवेयर इंजीनियरिंग, हॉस्पिटैलिटी और ऐसे कई फील्ड्स में दुनिया के साथ कदम से कदम मिलाकर चल रही हैं। और सबसे बड़ी बात तो यह है कि जो ट्राइब्स एक दूसरे से कभी आंखें भी नहीं मिलाती थीं, जिनमें पीढ़ियों तक की दुश्मनी थी, आज वही दुश्मन दोस्त बनकर साथ में खाना खाते हैं, पढ़ाई करते हैं, फुटबॉल खेलते हैं, यहां तक कि एक साथ गाने भी गाते हैं। I firmly believe in the saying that if you educate a boy, you educate a person. But if you educate a girl, you educate an entire family. और इस बदलाव की वजह है व्हाइट बुलेट्स। ये वो गोलियां हैं जिनकी आवाज नहीं, गूंज होती है, जिन्हें चलाने वाले हाथ फौजियों के नहीं बल्कि टीचर्स के होते हैं। ये है एक छोटी सी चौक, एकदम बुलेट जैसी दिखती है, तो हुई ना व्हाइट बुलेट्स। I urge you to fire these bullets in their thousands to bring about peace through education. तमसो मां ज्योतिर्गमय, मतलब अंधेरे से उजाले की ओर। और ये कर दिखाया है ल्यूमिनस ने। मैं सनबर्ड फैमिली की ओर से ल्यूमिनस को धन्यवाद देना चाहता हूं कि उन्होंने हमारी मेहनत और इन बच्चों की जरूरतों को समझा। इतनी मुश्किलों के बावजूद देश के इस कोने तक आए और हमारी मदद की, जिससे रोशन होंगे कंप्यूटर लैब्स और करीब 300 क्लासरूम्स। ल्यूमिनस के इस तोहफे ने इन बच्चों के भविष्य को उज्ज्वलित किया।
Good evening, everybody. Thank you, Professor Bhardwaj and Jerry, for your kind words. Professor Palam Raju, Dr. Lokesh Sahu, Dr. Deshpande, and Dr. Bushit, and my dear ladies and gentlemen. I never imagined that I would get this opportunity to be here at PRL. Dr. Sarabhai was an icon for me in my school and college days. And it's truly an honor for me to get this opportunity to come to this august place and be able to speak to you all. So why am I here? In a very unusual sort of a talk. As you would know, I've spent a good 35 years in the Indian Army. And during my service in the beautiful Northeast, I got the opportunity to spend 8 years there. So there's the fantastic natural beauty, the hospitality of the people. There is so much, the music, the food, everything. But also a part of the Northeast is the violence that has been there for decades. When I say in the Northeast. These are certain parts of the Northeast, for instance, Mizoram, Nagaland, Manipur, parts of Assam that have been affected. It is not the entire Northeast. But for most people, they would not know how long this problem has been, how many lakhs of people have been affected. I'm going to ask some simple questions to anybody in the audience. Firstly, how many states are there in the Northeast? Can somebody tell me, please? All wrong. Somebody forgot Sikkim, right? Okay, so that's the thing. There are 7 states. Yeah. Could somebody tell me the capital of Assam? Yeah, nice to know that, because otherwise everybody says Guwahati. Okay. One more question. What language do you think the people speak in Nagaland? Well, a lot of English, yes. But what as a state language like Gujarati, Marathi? Okay. You got it somewhat right. Nagamese is a mixture of Assamese, Bengali, English, all that, and Naga language, which people are forced to learn to stay together. Otherwise, Nagaland, with a small population of just 19 lakh 1.9 million, has 16 different tribes. And each tribe has their own language. And not only that, they physically are different in their features. So that is the diversity of the Northeast. So yes, so let me start about this program. This is a story of how I, as an army person, enjoyed my tenure at the Northeast, but found this tremendous problem. I don't know, those of you who are watching the news regularly would know about the terrible situation in Manipur today. It is almost civil war, or it is a civil war. It is ethnic cleansing, all the words that you want to use. Very sad for this beautiful state, which is actually my second home. So the story is how, after serving there, my wife and I felt that there has to be something else other than the gun to keep the peace. The soldiers and all the paramilitary forces should be where they're supposed to be, like our soldiers should be on the border. And the billions of rupees that we spend on keeping them there for their equipment, for their training, for their salaries, could be instead spent on development like health, education, and things like that. So my wife and I found that the one thing which was perpetuating the violence was that the children were not getting a chance to go to school, either financially or physically. There were not enough schools, because you'll have 20 huts on one hill, another 30 huts on another hill. You can't have a school everywhere. So thanks to this lack of education and lack of empowerment, the youth were getting attracted to radicalization, to join the insurgent groups against the country, to get into drugs, crime, and things like that. And so both of us decided that the one way to go was get the children educated. And we started this whole program of peace through education, starting when I was a young major in the Assam Rifles in Mizoram. So let me take you through this presentation. Please sit back and enjoy. This is a whole lot of pictures, not a whole lot of statistics. And I will tell you the story through these pictures. So as I mentioned, it's about peace through education. Why am I talking about this peace through education? As I mentioned to you, the 8 states of the Northeast, particularly insurgency affected are Mizoram, Manipur, and Nagaland. But you also have had the ULFA over here. You have rebellious groups in both Meghalaya and in Tripura. And even the Naga insurgency has spread to southern portion of Arunachal Pradesh. To give you the context, I was serving in the Border Roads Organization in Manipur, my last posting between 2012 and 2016. So being an engineer officer, that is. So BRTF is the Border Roads Task Force. So here is one of the vehicles of my task force, the driver just taking people out to the work site, ordinary people just to go up the road. This vehicle was blown up just by the militants for nothing at all. There were people behind who were badly injured, including this little girl who almost lost her leg. And very frequently we had these bomb blasts, grenades, whatnot happening. This was a bomb that was just outside our headquarters in the Border Roads Organization. It normally happened around big occasions like Independence Day or Republic Day. And very sadly, this colonel and his wife and his son were killed last year by militants in Manipur. I happened to know him because I was dealing with him for our work. And of course, the feeling of the people of the Northeast that are we really part of India when they face the racism? So we have certain stereotypes about Northeast people. For instance, when you normally ask people, what do you think Northeastern people eat? Can anybody say, what do you think they eat normally? Somebody would say noodles. Okay. So noodles are not known of in any part of Northeast excepting in Arunachal with the China border. Otherwise, it's rice and something else. And then people have the stereotype that these guys are all good at Kung Fu. Okay. Then the older generation knows the Danny Zongpa. Anytime there was a villain, it was Danny Zongpa. Okay. So the mentality is anybody who's got the Oriental features maybe in that thing. Then if you see the men in Bombay, Bahadur, he may be a doctor in TIFF or something, or that kind of thing. And the same thing with the women, they're treated like the Nepali, the people who come across. So that's the type of stereotypes that they face. And the second thing that I wanted to just explain is that why the difference and why the emotional difference. For a start, when you go to the very remote parts of the Northeast, I'm not saying all parts of the Northeast, there is no electricity, there is no connectivity, there is no roads, water, policeman, postman. In fact, no connection to the Indian state. When they don't have electricity, you can't ask him who's Sachin Tendulkar. He wouldn't have a clue. What is Hindi? What is Hindu? What is a samosa? No idea at all. And the ethnicity is different. The way of life is different. The religion is different. Everything is different. So the big mistake which a lot of us make is that we thought that at the stroke of the midnight hour, 1947, everybody became Bharat. That's something that people have to get used to, that this is work in progress. It's happening slowly and we have to give it its time. It's something that cannot be forced. Fortunately, and I'm happy to say with a lot of optimism that it's happening quite rapidly. So here are the questions. Can progress be furthered by getting all the stakeholders to commute on any one plane? And could be, like I just mentioned, could less money be spent on security and more on development? And what is that unique element that could get the stakeholders to cooperate without hesitation? What is the one thing which they will not fight? When I say stakeholders, it's the government, the army, the people, the children, everybody. So that's when, like I mentioned to you, we thought of education and peace through education. So here is the vision of Sunbird Trust. Building peace, we are often mistaken for an education organization, but in reality, we are to build the peace through the empowerment of children and youth in mainly the conflict-affected areas of northeastern India. And we have a rather lofty mission, but we are absolutely going to get there. It may take a little longer, but we're getting there. We intend to educate 25,000 underprivileged children from these areas by the year 2025. We were badly affected by COVID. Now the ongoing trouble in Manipur. It may take a little longer, but we're almost near the halfway mark. And we intend to build 50 institutions, either schools or hostels, by the year 2025. So schools and hostels are places where people from many neighboring villages come. We are able to sort of capture them. All our schools, incidentally, are called friendship schools. The reason is that there is no discrimination on grounds of culture, tribe, religion, or any such thing. In fact, we deliberately bring in people who have been conflicting with each other and put them in the same school. So all our schools are called friendship schools. And each one is a very powerful hub from which we work at all the children's villages, 8, 10 villages around. So it's not just the school on which we work. So what does Sunbird do? Financial access through education, through sponsoring children. Physical access through building schools and hostels. And most importantly, in an area where the children are imbibing the hatred of the past, where the people have only seen violence between them and the neighboring tribes, or with the army or the Assam Rifles, we are trying to capture this generation and get a positive mindset where they can look at their country with pride and leave that suspicion behind. Now I'm going to take you to one of our schools. We have many schools. This was the first one. So this is a school when I was posted in Manipur in the year 2012. From one of the Naga villages in Manipur, they came to me and said that, sir, we heard about the work that you and your wife did in Mizoram. Can you please come to our village and see how you can help us? So it was quite a start to me because at that time the insurgency was full. I was a serving colonel and they were asking me to come to a village where I could have been shot. In the border roads, we don't carry guns. We just go with our civil clothes, whatever it may be. But since they had the trust and came to call me, I also took this in a leap of faith and reached the village. So when I went over there, this is what I saw: the bare classrooms, mud floors, just the basics. And this is the picture that actually turned my mind. So you will never guess what this is. The schools are too poor to make hostels for the children. But the children and the parents are desperate to get the education. So the school constructs this little series, there are about 100 of these little kitchens where the children as young as 5, 6 years old cook by themselves. So the parents actually come, they cut firewood, they leave a sack of rice, and they go back to their work. And then the children run into the forest and get some mushrooms or get some leaves, or run down to the river and try and catch some fish and come and cook by themselves. So this is the type of determination that they have for getting educated. So when I saw this, I said that, okay, they wanted me to build a hostel so that the children could live comfortably. So I gave them the condition that, yes, we can do that, but you have to come halfway and I'll see what I can do. So they said, sure, sir, we'll give you stone from our fields. We'll give you all the wood from our forest. They control their forests over there. Our people will be the carpenters and the masons and whatnot. But we don't have the money for the other things. So I went to the Assam Rifles, and by that time, a lot of people knew the type of work that we were trying to do. And a very friendly brigadier gave me these beautiful blue sheets, which cost several lakhs of rupees, which were being used for the army camps. And the army and the Assam Rifles helped me to bring in the sheets, sand, the other materials, the iron and whatnot. And the village came together, and in 6 months' time, we had this beautiful hostel standing. And this is the first day when the little girls came. And here I made the mistake. I was thinking from my urban mind, one bed for one child. I never realized that the children are so poor that they do not have a blanket each or a bed sheet each or a mattress each. So 2, 3 children, 4 children on one bed is what happened, as you should see in the photos that are coming up. So actually started the hostel in 2014, and we had only about 40 children. This was taken in 2015 when there were a little more. Then 2016, we had 150 children. And then all the chiefs, when they saw this beautiful hostel and the school started running well, and I got a couple of team members, the chiefs from the neighboring villages came and said, sir, we all want to put our children here. There is no other school. So I said, you must be crazy because this building can hold only this much children. They said, sir, if you do not take our children, they will all become militants and shoot your colleagues. So they offered their good work, and in no time, we went to 252 children. They came and built these, the things at the side, as you can see. And it was an almost impossible situation. But thankfully, the next year, one of the Bangalore organizations, that's the Jai Shakti Foundation, helped us, and we built this beautiful hostel. So that was the way. And then we started building the infrastructure like this hall. Luminous, the video that you just saw, actually they chose us to project us in 2018 for the work that we were doing for the girl child. And in that same patch of ground where you saw only forest, another donor from Kerala came forward and built this beautiful building. The ground floor is a computer lab, the middle is a science lab, and the top is a music academy. So the point is, why should a child in Ahmedabad or Bangalore or Pune, Delhi, whatever, have so much and a child in the forest not have the same? So the word is equity, equity of education. So in that place where there was nothing at all, where a child had never touched a computer, neither the child nor the staff, it was only the pictures that they touched and even passed the 10th standard exam. They now have a 20-terminal computer center. They have a full-fledged music academy. Now, the music academy is to leverage their own strength. They're very good at Western music and whatever. And it is not for their fun. It is also to give them jobs, because many of children do not go beyond the 10th standard. So when they are able to teach music, they are able, because people in Bombay are earning 30, 40,000 rupees per month just by teaching music online. That was the idea. And where the children were cooking by themselves, this is thanks to the H.T. Parekh Foundation in Bombay. We built this beautiful hall, which has now at least 300 children can sit in the hall at any one time. And thanks to the work that we did over here, the neighboring village was a village called Puichi. In fact, for 2 years, the army would not even allow me to enter there because it was a village where there were militants, different militant groups, families were involved. And the army had a camp right in the center of the village. This is 4 kilometers from the school that I just showed you. And they always had their machine gun ready. So even in the night, even on the fences, they had like beer bottles and tins touching together. If somebody touched the fence, and you go tuck, tuck. That is the level of alertness that they had. So thanks to our school and thanks to our hostel, 8, 10 villages around, we had slowly started bringing the army in to do medical camps, coming to play with the children, music or play volleyball or something. So we humanized the army, and the people from these villages began to feel that, oh, these guys are not so bad after all. And then the army itself found that, what the hell, we are not required in this village any longer, because somewhat there is peace. So they shut the camp and they went away. And I went to the brigadier and I said that, locked up this camp, what are you going to do with it? He said, "No, sir, now there is no need for us to be there." He said, "Why do you want it?" I said, "These poor children are walking 4 kilometers every day to this school, through the slush, the rain, the leeches, to get to the school." He said, "Brilliant idea. Please take the keys." And there you are, handing over of the camp to the school, to the Sunbird Trust to form into the village school. All the women of the village, they were so excited, they could not believe that the army camp was now going to be their school, and their children don't have to walk 4 kilometers away. So all of them came forward to clean up the place. The men came to do all the cementing, and the whole place was painted up to make it look like a school. They cut their own trees to make the furniture, and these are the happy children in the school. This is the inauguration of the school with the army camp behind me. So you can see the flowers where there used to be guns and whatnot behind, right? So like that, like I mentioned to you, we've done a series of schools. We have built, in fact, 11 schools now and 14 hostels. This is one of the schools that is coming up in Manipur. I'm sad to say that this is in the danger zone where the people of this village have had to flee. And we're just hoping that there is no damage done to this beautiful school. The great thing is we have learned is that always involve the local people to have a sense of ownership of what you're doing. A very dangerous thing in the social sector is the culture of dependency. People are used to getting things free from the government, free from wherever, and think that it's just fallen from the sky. So one of the things that we do is, sorry, if you want anything to be done with you, you have to walk halfway with us. So this is the whole village digging. The chief of this village gave us 10 acres of land. And this is the whole village coming forward to make the road for that school. Similarly, this, sad to say, is another school in the heart of the conflict area. No damage, but it is completely shut now. We started with 40 children. It has more than 350 now. And then the same school, another computer laboratory, again, where they could not imagine, there was no electricity also. We put the solar, but now thankfully the electricity has also come. This is in the middle of a very remote part of Assam. This in the Dima Hasao district of Assam. To reach this village, I say there is no road, there's only a direction. Okay, you have to go through the forest, and the rains, God help, you're not sure if you're going to reach the place. So extremely remote place, and I'm happy that we were able to make this school over there. Now, this is a picture of my wife and me in one of the schools where the army had called us. They saw us building the school. They said, "Please build a school in this place." Number one, you can see the condition of the school. It is almost psychological, the walls and everything. And the second thing is, this was a place where the Kukis and Nagas had clashed, and there had been a lot of ethnic clashes. So they said, "This is the place where you should be building your friendship school." So one of the things that we do to make a statement is, every Independence Day without fail, or every Republic Day as well, we inaugurate a school. So last year, Independence Day, the army guys came, and that was the same building which you saw over there. This is what the school that has been built. This is at a place called Pinjang in Manipur. And I'm very happy to say that this was the last chief of army staff, General Naravane. When he was a brigadier, and he knew me over there, and he said that, we need this hostel. I said, "I don't have the money, but I'll do it when I can." So when we finished the hostel, and I gave him the news, he said, "Okay, when do I come and inaugurate?" I said, "Sir, you're the chief of army staff now." He said, "No, you kept your promise, I'll keep mine." So he came as the chief of army staff to inaugurate our hostel. More recently, I got a sudden call from the Speaker of the Arunachal Assembly, Mr. P.D. Sona. And he says, "Why aren't you working in my state? I heard you're working only in Manipur and Nagaland. So please come and meet me." So I went to Itanagar, met him, and he came up with this concept. What's happening in our border villages? We all know what the Chinese are doing nowadays. In our border villages, the people, because of no schools and no jobs, they're leaving the villages and coming inland. They're migrating to the towns. So all our hunters, our shepherds, our farmers who are right up to the border. And not only that, they have friends on the other side too. They have been leaving these border areas, and as a result, our good friends, the Chinese, have been coming in quietly. No, the border is not a thin line like you see in the map, which is 30, 40 kilometers. So when they come in little bit, they say, no, no, this is also our land, kind of a thing. So as part of that principle to strengthen our border villages, I was asked to take over a government school. This is a fully government school in on the China border, uh, residential school. And we took over that school. So this is a picture taken on Teachers' Day. That was all the children that were there. I'm happy to say that 2 days ago, this is the army that has joined in this venture. They were very happy because it again concerns national security. So they built a shed for my team because my team members were staying in the local huts. But my team members have surrendered this in turn to be a hostel and they go back to their hut. Right? So it's a tiny village called Papikrung in Shiomi district of Arunachal Pradesh. Now I'm going to show you a series of pictures about the actual state of schools in different parts of the Northeast. This is one school in Ukhrul district, which is the heart of the Naga insurgency. The National Socialist Council of Nagaland started, the insurgency started from here. So these are the places that we gravitate to make friends with the people, open their minds. So we found this school where we found a very passionate leader who had been trying to run the school for more than 10 years. He was barely taking any fees. Everything was terribly dilapidated, but it was the only school. So that's why the children came there. And just like the first school which I showed you, this school also had all the children cooking by themselves. So let me show you a few pictures of the change that we have been able to affect. So this was the girls' hostel. As you can see, mud flow. This is a place where the temperature goes down to almost 0 meters. This is the leaking roof, and there are no beds. There are only wooden planks. Okay, so this is how the girls were living, and just the desperation to come to school. So thanks to our good donors and my friends, my classmates from my school, we were able to make a change. Now these are beds from another classmate of mine from Featherlight, all donated by him. The mattresses were donated by another classmate who was from Kurlon. So a whole lot of these things came up. I could not even carry them. So the Army and the Assam Rifles brought them in for us to this remote location. And the sheets that were on top of the building, we put to block the wood. We didn't want to spend on too much money on this and just painted them up and we put new sheets on top. So that is a change. Similarly with the boys' hostel, new hostel for them. Now we come to the hall. I used to be very scared to go inside this building. Whenever I went there, they wanted to give me a garden or something. It would be in here. And I could see the whole building shaking over my head. So to the inside of the building. And this is what we've done over here. So with one of my team members, Sunbird Trust, doing a lecture on menstrual hygiene, which is got both the boys and the girls. She's a wonderful woman, tribal girl from Manipur. Believe it or not, this was the toilet that was being used, where one girl would sit outside and another girl would go inside. So this is the type of desperation that was there, and it was just normal for everybody over there. And this is the change that we were able to make thanks to support of our donors. The important aspect that we're trying to do is also trying to humanize the armed forces. Let's face it and let's be honest that 20, 30 years ago, human rights was not a big concept. And there were times when wrong things were done, incidentally, accidentally, deliberately, whatever you want to say. So as in every war and every insurgency, it's the innocent people that get caught in between the army and the thing, right? So there was a lot of suffering, and the mind of the people has been, when I was a kid, my mom used to scare me. Like if I don't eat my porridge, she'll say the bogeyman's going to come to scare me. If here, if the kid doesn't eat his food, the people will say the Assam Rifle guy will come. Okay, that's the level of thing. So to get rid of that mindset from the new generation, we've got the army and the Assam Rifles to come to the people. Sometimes it's very difficult for them with their guns and weapons and whatever. But when my team members are in the villages, it is it's very easy for them to come. So for instance, in this picture, you can see for the same school which I showed you, the toilets in the hostels, they have donated the entire water supply pipeline of 5 kilometers, which has brought water for this campus. Now I come to Assam, where we have a big presence in Majuli Island. Just to tell you about Majuli Island, anybody knows where it is? Yes. It is in the Brahmaputra River. It was the biggest river island in the world. It has now come to number 6 because the Brahmaputra has been eating it from all sides. But it's still a very huge island in which it has almost 200 villages. It's the heart of culture of the Assamese people. So whenever we have rains here, maybe Ahmedabad, Chennai, Bangalore, first thing is, okay, when there's heavy rains, okay, holiday for the children. Now here, the rains come every year, and every second year, almost every year, the water levels rise so much, the houses are all on stilts. So when the water comes up for say a month, 3 weeks, 2 months, whatever it is, everybody moves up on the stilts. That includes the duck, the donkey, the sheep, the chicken, people, everybody move up. Okay. So the children who are going to school, they would have been coming by bus or whatever local transport is there. When the water level comes little high, they walk like this. And it becomes still higher. Instead of paying for the bus, they pay for the boat. But they don't miss their school. Just to give a perspective. Okay, so people from here asked me to build a hostel because of this situation, instead of the children coming through the water and whatnot. So that's in a boat with my 2 team members, local team members over there. Happy to say that they were supported by Sunbird to build this entire school. And they now have a beautiful trust in Assam called the Ayang Trust. And their school is called the Hummingbird School, which they have brought up fully by themselves. So this is the help. In the background, you can see the hostel that we were building. This is in the rains, and this was inaugurated on Independence Day. So this is the hostel, how it looks. And building the trust is not just building schools and hostels and things like that. You have to be connected to the people. And my cunning trick was, if the women are with you, then the husbands, the brothers, the fathers, sons, all the militants, they will not touch you. So that was my trick. So this is talking to the women, finding out their issues. This is how they became good friends, whether it be water, so many little things about their children in school. So the women's groups being connected to them, the student groups, the village as a whole. So our connection was not just children and school, it was way into the community. That was the whole idea of getting the community, I think. And here you see a picture of previously where they're firing bullets at each other. Now you find the Assam Rifle boys from the neighboring camp have come to play volleyball with our kids. And our kids beat them too, in spite of being boys and girls together. Okay, so that is the thing. This girl from the Puichi village, which I showed you, which was the school and the army camp. So the young girl, 7th standard, we decided to take some of our kids for the Merikong Boxing Academy, which is there in Imphal, where they get a free thing. Of course, they have to buy their kit and all that. So 3 of our girls got selected. And this girl, who was just a little kid, 6th, 7th standard, she's now a champion. She's won the gold medal at the state level in her category in Manipur. And again, part of the thing that we do is, sadly, I feel very sad to see this picture because this is a picture of our Maitai kids and our Koki kids, along with some of the Naga children from Manipur. And this was facilitated by the then Inspector General of Assam Rifles in Kohima, General Nair, Pradeep Nair, who's now the Director General of Assam Rifles. He had facilitated this, where we bring together the kids again to make them friends, to get over the the thing of the past. And these kids had such a lovely time that they were weeping to say bye to each other. And post this camp, we took the Maitai children to the Koki village and the Koki children to the Maitai village. Now I'm sad to say that there may be generations before any of this interaction will be happening. It's sad, but that is the situation in Manipur. The good thing about an organization, our organization, I use that old phrase, when the going gets tough, the tough get going. So when COVID happened, everybody was in their homes, but Team Sunbird, entire team, nobody left their villages, all stayed through, went through the tough time, no gas, no provisions, whatever. And when, again, the COVID was raging, entire team, even our students were packing rations, distributing rations. So this is in Manipur. A lot of organizations wanted a reliable NGO partner, and we were that. In fact, happy to say that we were able to help out the government departments also in terms of the district hospitals with the medical supplies. So during COVID, we've done quite a bit of work. Right now, our teams are involved in the relief camps that are in Manipur, trying to provide relief over there. And nothing possible without my beautiful team. The average age of the team, I happen to be the Gao Buddha. All of them are, you could say the average age is 26 or 27. They're all super professionals in terms of Teach for India fellows, masters of education, development, social work, and some of them even leave the industry and come to us. And the word has really spread from inside, and more people. I have, I think, more than 40 or 50 people who have applied who are not able to accommodate because of financial reasons, obviously. So these people are the big change makers. I call these young men and women my company commanders, army style. So a young woman who's 24 years old could be looking after an entire school and 5, 6 villages. That's the type of responsibility that they have. And we scare the hell out of them before they come so that we know we get only the right people. We say, hey, listen, there are bullets flying. There is, no electricity, no connectivity. You don't think of laptop. Everything we do to scare them. And those who still remain are the ones that we want. And I'm happy to say the ones who come are really happy. Some have come back after doing their masters and whatnot. That is a picture of my team. The front row of all our own graduates who we put through school and some of them through college, even through post-graduation, and now come to serve back with Sunburn. That's my daughter. She had served with us for quite a while. Now she's doing something of her own. These are all the team members, different parts of India, different communities, different tribes, and that's my wife. So this picture was taken last year. Summary of what we're doing in Sunburn. This is where we stand right now. Things have further improved from this. We sponsor about 8,400 children, and in graduation, this number has now reached 400. And as I mentioned to you, this with us from her, right from her school days, and stopped her graduation, post her graduation, served with us for a year, went and did a post-graduation, came back and joined the organization as a sponsorship manager, as a team member. So we're at that very proud stage where our own children are coming back to us. Around 2018, my wife and I took 25 children down to Bangalore, from our very remote villages. The idea was to give them a better opportunity to study. So they did law, engineering, BA, BSc, and the like. So we always say that we have that many more children in addition to our two. And this is on Teachers' Day when they all came over to surprise us and wish us. I'm happy to say that all of them have now graduated or got through college, and many of them are placed, many of them are pursuing the post-graduation. This is again the Bangalore children before they dispersed. All the youngsters who we had sponsored who have come back to us, my wife and I, and that's our daughter over here. This boy was a Maitai boy from the plains of Manipur, did fabulously in his engineering, a really dynamic person, very disadvantaged, not having a father, very difficult financial circumstances. He got a scholarship to the University of Padua in Italy, and he should be completing his course there right now. So we have 5 such people in different parts of the world. Very proud of this person. This was in the pre-Sunbird Trust days when my wife and I were posted in Mizoram. He was a doctor. He was studying to do his medicine at the Wardha Institute, Wardha Medical College. And we were able to help him. And at that time itself, he said that he would pay back every penny, which he is more than done. He's right now the most highly qualified doctor in Mizoram, a double super specialist. And I'm happy to say that he himself sponsors children now. That is the joy that we have. Coming to the end of the presentation, last year, a few successes. We were selected among the top 100 NGOs by the Grow Fund for their award. And this year, our story was among 10 stories selected by the Azim Premji Foundation for their Stories of Change competition, which they publish as to show all other NGOs. So that is my story. Thank you very much. The video. I'd like to show you to end on a very happy note, one of the things we use very soft things for integration. First thing is, I'll just introduce. So I'll get back in front of the camera. I'm sorry, you're on. Yes. So to do integration, you cannot just say you better be like everybody else. So for instance, in some parts of the Northeast, like even in Manipur, there's a resistance to learning Hindi. So we get our kids to get a sort of thing, a love for Hindi. First, we let them listen to the songs, and we let them, they want to sing them, and they want to do the Bollywood numbers, and they want to watch the movies, then they're thinking of Bombay, Bangalore, whatever. So the change has happened in their mind. So here is a song produced entirely by my team, including the music and the videography and whatever. This is of our Naga children in that same blue hostel which you saw. So these are the girls in that hostel, and this is their song. So watch this, and then we can go on to the questions and answers.
थोड़ी थोड़ी है सबकी सुनी, थोड़ा कुछ तो सबने कहा, थोड़ा थोड़ा समझा भी मगर दिल ये माने कहा, बस इसकी जिद है दिल बेफिक्र लापता, कैसी धुन है खोकर भी कुछ ना मिला, इस दिल की आदत यही है, गिर कर संभलता नहीं है, जालिम समझता नहीं है ये कोई जुबान, ये दिल बेपरवाह, ये दिल बेपरवाह। कतरा कतरा हो गया, दिल ये बिखरता गया, दुनिया गुजरती रही, टुकड़ों की चलती रही, बस इसकी जिद है दिल बेफिक्र लापता, कैसी धुन है खोकर भी कुछ ना मिला, इस दिल की आदत यही है, गिर कर संभलता नहीं है, जालिम समझता नहीं है ये कोई जुबान, ये दिल बेपरवाह, ये दिल बेपरवाह। इस दिल की आदत यही है, गिर कर संभलता
Go for questions.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, agree that was a truly wonderful talk, moving, touching. The kind of work that is being done is really amazing in integrating children to this country via education. I'm sure there are a lot of questions, and I will now invite Bhushit up here to handle the question session. But before that, let us all return our thanks to Colonel Christopher REGO.
Thank you, Professor Janardhan and Colonel, sir. I think these efforts calls for standing ovation and salute to the efforts going on from all of us. Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you all. Thank you. This is an excellent work being done and we are unaware of this. Thank you. The session is open for questions now and I invite questions from the audience. We will also take questions from the YouTube as it comes. Questions from the audience, please.
Thank you, Colonel, for such a delightful talk and running through the whole story and telling how it all happened. But the episode which talks about that woman coming and knocking your door was a turning point probably for you to start thinking that we should do this. And probably that is the one which would change the life as well as the mind of the people over there. So these are some of the turning points which happens in everybody's life, and it all depends upon how you take it forward from there. And you have really shown that you took that as the turning point for you and grown up into this huge what you call movement, I should say, and which is really creating differences in the life of the kids of the country. So I was just intrigued by some of the very basic questions. At what age you generally take these students along with you, to start educating, number one. And number two, when they grow up, you have shown that they become self-dependent kind of things, but still do you continue to support them to take higher and higher educations?
Absolutely. Is this on? Can you hear me, everybody? Okay. So the first thing is that we don't own any of the schools that we build. We find passionate, committed people, local people who have tried something. Like I showed you those old schools, the difference thing. So a person over there, he himself was a victim of the ethnic violence, came and tried to build the school. So we said, this is a person who's really going to serve. So we start working with him. And in any case, he's taking children right from nursery onwards. So in all our schools, it is right from the beginning. It's not that at any stage. And of course, we try to get in children who may not have got into school through the institutions that we have built. We try and build it up. The second question that you asked me is, how long do we stay with a child? Our basic aim in Sunbird Trust is to educate them till 10th standard, basically, so that they have the skills to be plumber, mason, anything, they could at least have a job. And from those children who show the desire and who have the potential, we take them on to 12th. And further from those, right up to graduation and even up to post-graduation. So more and more that number is increasing because our donors are also coming to us. I anticipate that within the next 2 years, we may have as many as 1,000 children in graduation and post-graduation. But the story does not end there. Now, each of these children is not just give the money, take the sponsorship and go away. Each of these children is expected to be an arrow for peace in his community, expected to be an ambassador who will stop all the hatred. And we tell these children that you are sunbirders for life. We have get-togethers, we have picnics, we send them out on trips, right up to the time forever. So those who have graduated, post-graduated, got jobs, different parts of the world, they're still part of Sunbird. And they are expected to mentor the children who come after them as well. So it is a continuum where we are developing further and further this association of Sunbird people. Yeah, please feel free, anybody.
Yeah.
Any questions?
Questions. Maybe
Yeah. please
Yes,
go.
Vishal.
Hello. Yeah. So I'm from Manipur actually, and like you said, like all the situation that's happening in Manipur is really bad. And one thing that I noticed, like it's not just this time; it has been happening like then for the past 15, 20 years. Many things are happening, and whatever comes out this side of the country, it's always biased towards something or the other, and it never serves the purpose of actually telling the true thing that's happening there.
I agree with you.
Yeah. So do you have any comment on how we can?
I've just said about how there are so many prejudices about Northeastern people. Similarly, the news that comes out is biased one way or the other. If I ask anybody about the Ahom dynasty, does anybody know how many years was the Ahom dynasty of Assam? 600 years, one of the longest serving dynasties in the world, really. And we learn nothing about it in our history books. We have learned about Mughals, we've learned about British, we've learned about all sorts of things. But if you ask a child nowadays, where is Manipur? He may come out and say that, oh, it's near Korea. This is literally the state right now. So I understand what you're trying to say. What's your name, by the way?
Vishal.
Vishal. You're a Maitei?
Yeah, I'm.
Yeah. So we work, the good part about Sunbird Trust, incidentally, in my team, I have 4 Maitais. Okay. And my children are, at least 1,000 of them are Maitais, right? Because that's the heart of our work. Vishnupur, Moirang, Imphal East, Imphal West, Takching. I'll introduce you to Manipur sometime. Okay. I've traveled the length and breadth of Manipur. But I take your point. There's a lot of pain in what he's saying. There are people dying at this moment. There is an absolute division in terms of thousands of people exchange of population. They will never go back that side. They'll never come back this side. In his own community, many have been killed. It's going on till today. So I'm not going to go into the reasons for that, but that is a terrible tragedy of what is happening. Yep.
Yeah, first of all, compliments to the work that you are doing, and it's really, really amazing. My question is regarding, what kind of curriculum that you follow, what normal, all the subjects that are regularly used in the other boards, or you have a different kind of curriculum and have more of interpersonal skills or ITI kind of thing, kind of some more skills that can be done. Or how do you match?
Follow wherever we are, we follow the state curriculum, the state syllabus, and we build the teacher's capacity through my team member. So my team member is a Teach for India fellow or Azim Premji Masters of Education. So each of my team members is a force multiplier. She is not a teacher in a school, but one who trains the entire the school. So we get into the schools, they follow the state syllabus, and we slowly build in the capacity. We put in the computers, we flow the teaching learning aids, the different things like that, and build up the capacity of the school.
Harish.
Yeah.
Harish Kirti of scientist here.
Yeah.
My question is about, I can understand the alienation of the rest of India, as you have mentioned. We don't get to learn the culture and the history of the whole. But when I'm looking at many of the events, they are actually the fight themselves. What is for them? My understanding, and I'm not sure it's correct or not, but Assam Rifles said that they were fighting, these tribes were fighting among themselves, not the people going from the part of India and trying to settle there.
Okay. Well, I'll let him give a few answers. Could you just stand up, please? Yeah, I want you to understand the reality of Manipur. So what I know of Manipur, it was a proud kingdom, okay, where the king had solid power, and part of Myanmar also came under as part of the kingdom. So did Manipur join India in 1947?
No,
When did it join India?
it was accessed on, I think, 1949.
1949, September, October.
Yeah.
So the fact of the matter is, Manipur did not want to become a part of India. They had a plebiscite in 1947. Do you want to join India or not? The king had it. 90% of the people said, no, we want to be independent. So it was like all the other kingdoms forcibly brought into the Indian Union. So that is what caused a bit of the problem with the local people. The second thing is that our bureaucrats sitting in Delhi, not all of them made their mistakes, but perhaps when they were demarcating the states and the boundaries, they did not know too much, if perhaps sitting in Delhi and doing it or what, I don't know. While demarcating the states and the districts and whatever, they sort of mixed up things, okay? Parts of this state went to that kind of thing. The next aspect is the diversity of people in the Northeast. I've told you that there are 33 communities, am I right, in Manipur?
Yeah, I mean, that's the recorded maybe.
That's the thing, the number in Manipur, and your population is just 28 lakh, 30 lakh people. That's the diversity. And each of these groups is trying for their place in the sun. They want identity, they want land, they want resources, they want water. So this is something that's going to take some time to settle down. It's not something that the government can solve all these problems. But this is the solution. More education, more empowerment, more employment, all those divisions are going to go away. That's my answer. Yeah.
Connect with them.
Yeah.
You grown up in Bangalore.
Yes.
As a outsider of them, still you connect with them.
Yeah.
So what was that?
It's a very simple, very, very simple recipe. I was not only from Bangalore, I was an army colonel. And in some places I could have been shot. So when I went to this school, when the first time, that blue building which I showed you, I didn't know if I'd come back. I even called my wife and said that I'm going there, because when they fire from the forest and all, you won't even know where the bullets are coming, right? And when I first started going there, I never said when I'm going and when I'm coming, because the situation was so dangerous. But the greatest asset of our organization is that we are free from any agenda of culture, politics, religion, money, whatever you want to say. So when the people saw this, that we are not going to interfere with their way of life or their beliefs or their culture or whatever, and we are only there to educate the children, started from one village and now it is spread like wildfire. See, these guys are there when you need them. They're there in COVID, okay? When everybody else has left us, they're there in the worst of situations. And let me say, people don't realize the value of a rank. These people climb 3 hills, go down, reach the SDO's office. Sir, please, sir, 6 months, no electricity. Bag job, come next week. Go back again, come again. Colonel Saab goes there, Saab, chai, okay. I use my rank, I abuse my rank, I'll say that. Many of us don't realize our position in society, that just a phone call can change somebody's life, to get them into college, to get them their facilities. So I've used that a lot also. So at the end of the day, it's also the solid integrity of our team. Youngsters from, some of them as young as 22 years old, young women come and sitting in a village where they've never seen outsiders, the culture is totally different, the language, everything different. And she's there looking after the children, and that's the sort of empathy that our team members have. So our team members, I must give them a solid credit for the type of love that we get back from the people. So these are some of the reasons.
Thank you very much. Very inspiring.
More questions? Anyone?
I want to ask one thing, that whenever you are building this, as Harisha told, that there are a lot of disputes between the local tribes, and some of the tribes are building, they are trying to build a greater Nagaland and other tribes also. So, have you ever experienced some type of disputes between the parents which are sending their children to your school?
So at this particular stage, I'm sorry to say that many of my children have lost their homes, on both sides, from the Maitai side, the Kuki side. And sadly, even in my team, fortunately, we have got this friendship thing. So in my team also, little bit of turbulence, but nothing so bad. We actually had to rescue our team members and put them in camps. So not to any troublesome extent do we find the parents doing this, because I think that friendship thing, once they get used to each other and they see the best of each other, we don't find that type of negativity. Unfortunately, what in Manipur now, these two particular groups, it has happened. There's no way that they can live together. I don't know. Do you think there's any solution? Well said. Yeah. So we have to work on this. And again, the strength is that no taking sides with any people. So very frankly, my team members, no politics, no religious stuff, no controversy, no activism against the government. Just quietly do your work. I think it's the best formula. Yes, you're right, you're right.
Okay, sir. Thank you very much. It was such an enlightening talk, actually, and congratulations to you for doing such a great job. So my question is not about your school. My question is about the approach of Indian Army towards the insurgencies in the country. So far, it exists in Kashmir and Northeast India. Particularly, I think Assam Rifles and Northeast had a very bad blood in the past. There is like very famous pictures of all those women standing naked, and yeah, in the Manipur actually. So, do you think that over the years, Indian Army has changed its approach towards handling the insurgency? I mean, do they go really hard even now, or do they just take a step back and think about it?
You're talking to a person who's been 36 years in the army.
That's
So
why.
I've seen the whole transition and I've been a part of it. As I mentioned to you that in the old days, whether it be the American army, the British army, any army, the level of sensitization towards the local people was perhaps not so much. The training was not so much. And mistakes did occur. I would be disloyal to people if I say that the Indian army was lily white, did not do anything, there were no innocent people killed. That is absolutely wrong to say. As a true soldier, I'll say yes, that is what happened. Now, to give you an example, in the past, because of lack of control or whatever, some women may have been molested, things or worse, and nothing would have happened. Now, if a woman is touched or molested, that soldier goes to jail in like 2 months. He's in jail. I mean, the process starts immediately and he may be thrown out immediately. But beyond that, the officer under whose command he was gets a red mark in his dossier. Your lack of control and your lack of command caused that boy to do that. So whatever the feeling is, I would say that the army is on a new league altogether. Number one. Number two is when you talk of the insurgencies, now hundreds of people, thousands of people from Manipur, Nagaland, Assam are my colleagues as officers and things. So the atrocities of the past are a thing of the past. If they come now, they are aberrations. I can solidly say that. You can see it in the papers. You're not going to be hearing these things about these atrocities happening. Look at what has happened over the past 10 years. We are a different army and a modern army. Okay, like he may have a different perception about the army and the Assam Rifles. There is talk of AFSPA. All of those of you who know about AFSPA, Armed Forces Special Powers Act, where an army person can go into anybody's house without a policeman standing next to him and check and search for weapons and all that. So it has been abused sometimes, but on the other hand, an innocent person from Bihar or Rajasthan or something coming there, posted there, the government told him, go and do your job, fight for the country. He's gone, there has been an ambush or something, or they find that there are weapons somewhere. Somebody fires on them, they fire back, somebody gets hurt. Why should he go to court for 20 years? He needs the protection, he was doing his duty. So as far, I personally feel it has to be removed, a good sign of real progress that it is removed from everywhere, but it has to be a stage where it can be removed, and where our soldiers also are protected. That's my view. So be happy about the thing. I can tell you it is almost an obsession about linking to the people, being good to the people. And another thing is we have a job to do. You can't expect the army general when he's surrounded by, militants, whatever, to say be nice to everybody. He's got to have a little bit of fear. The people have to have a little fear. That's his job. So he can't be going around doing social work all the time. Yeah.
Yeah, Namit.
Thank you, Colonel REGO, for such an amazing talk and taking us through this fantastic journey of the commendable work that your organization has been doing. I have two questions.
Yeah.
You've worked in various areas.
Yeah.
In which area, is there some specific area or areas where you found most resistance to your ideas of bringing peace through this process? And if so, were there any specific reasons for that you could identify? Because I'm sure when you are working with these troubled areas, you have to think about all these things very strategically. The second is when, let's say, you're able to convince the local people, some village, to become part of this journey. The militants are still there. How much do they threaten these innocent villagers or innocent tribes who are trying to become more peaceful via any of these means, like, for example, your means?
So
Yeah, yeah.
do you face this kind of a thing because you are the mediator in some sense?
Yes. So your first question is if you find difficulty in any particular area. Our USP is to head for that area where there have been killings, massacres. If any of you Google Oinam, OINAM Hill, 1987, that's a place where there was a massacre of our army troops by the militants. They literally slaughtered 9 people plus were injured and whatever, all the weapons were seized. And the retribution was 10 times the amount in those days to get back the weapons and whatever. So there was seething hatred from then till now. So you can't blame the people. And so I, bearing the colonel's rank, yes, I do find a bit of resistance, but I'm happy to say that in this village, it has become one of our villages. I have my team members there. But having said that, yes, there are places which we still may not be able to go because of this resistance against the army, the Assam Rifles, and the government. And the second question you asked was?
No, I was asking that once the local villages or local people try to start align with you and try to see the real benefits of being peaceful and getting educated, the militants must be kind of threatening the local villages or.
I gave the answer in my thing that their own children come to my school. They have nowhere else to go. Okay, so they will not touch us. And my young team members, without a shred of protection, stay in those villages. There is a lot of dignity and integrity in the Northeast communities, wherever they might be. They will not harm you if you are a good person doing some good for them. Okay. There's a friend of mine, my batchmate, when he was going in a convoy, his wife happened to be in the same convoy. They got fired on. The wife got shot 3 times. She almost aborted her baby also. The next day it was published in the papers. We never knew there was a woman in that convoy. So we apologize profusely to the lady. So that's the type of thing. So yeah, so militants, the places where we would find danger is where they're not got any ideology. They're only gangsters for money, for kidnapping and extortion and whatnot. Okay, in the garb of fighting for the group. So in those type of places, well, that's a risk that we take.
Thank you, Colonel, for the talk.
Yeah.
Just one question. Yeah, you showed some schools have computer facility.
Yes.
So, is there any remote facility available on these computers so that we can have some talk with these people?
I'd love to do that. And I'm in fact going to ask the professor to give us a chance to send some children here. Part of opening their minds is to send them. Big issue sometimes is connectivity, but that can always be done. And I take up that opportunity. We'd love to have them to get exposure to people from outside. Okay, so thank you so much.
Yeah, hello, thanks, Colonel, for this wonderful talk. It's really inspiring. Now, my question is, okay, it's nice that you are teaching kids and then they are having the preliminary education and also the brotherhood. But what about the jobs actually? Means when they grow up, like the youngsters, are there job opportunities? Like, for example, these are villages. So how are the status of farming? Are there any industry? Are there efforts to bring industry so that these guys get jobs and they don't go to the other route of militancy?
So a lot of improvement has happened over the past few years. A lot of improvement has happened, but sadly not enough. There's no industry. You know, the Northeast is at a geographical lip. It doesn't make sense even for manufacturing. It's so far away from the rest of the country. So sadly, very limited opportunities for children there. They come out into the hospitality industry. You see them everywhere, I'm sure, in Ahmedabad and whatever. From our side, we do our best for every child now, as we are a young organization. Basically, we started work only in 2017 after I retired. So now we're getting a specialist counselor or 2 counselors so that all the children, at least once or twice in a year, we are able to connect with them and put them on the correct careers. So career guidance and even the psychological counseling is part of our organization that we're going to be having now. And regarding the jobs, especially when they're coming to the degree level, very specific thing, we are talking to all our friends about placing them, getting them jobs, things like that. So it's not that we just leave them after the degree.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. I think it was, again, very inspiring, as most of the people said. one comment and maybe one question is you mentioned a little bit issues with the border with China, which I think obviously you educated me a lot about history of India, Northeast India. So thank you for that. But the border with China becomes an international issue, political issue. So whatever you do in India, since you mentioned that the zone between China and India, it's not like a fixed area. It's a buffer zone where some tribes may be actually overlapping between India and China. So how do you think your work could help ensuring more peaceful talks and discussions between India and China relative to this Northeast issues?
Yeah, I had the pleasure of having a long talk with him at breakfast today. Nice to meet you, sir. And I say that we stick to what we can do. Now, as it is, we have really bitten off a lot. So building peace with the Chinese is something I leave to other people to do. It would be basically we infuse our children with humanistic values. They don't have to look over their shoulder and say which book or which holy thing or which thing. It is what is good for one human is good for everybody else. It's a very simple mantra. So we give that to them. So to answer your question very frankly, we do not do anything. We do infuse them with a bit of nationalism, learning Hindi, the flag, whatever. I think that's part of keeping a country together. And if we did not have that, we would be broken into tiny bits. So that's where we are.
Yeah. Any more questions? Yeah.
Hello, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, this was a very inspiring talk, but I just don't want to leave this hall just by being inspired. Can you tell us how we can contribute for your cause? And along with that, like you just proved with the Om Dynasty question, most of us don't know about the things that are happening there. Is there any way that we can also be educated regarding that? Or is your foundation doing anything about educating us and also educating them and helping them fire?
Yeah. So regarding wanting to do something, we have volunteers from every industry. We have had people coming even from America to come and work with us. So in your spare time or whatever, you want to come and teach the children some English or teach some maths or something, we have beautiful locations, Assam, Arunachal, Manipur, Nagaland. So that's a possibility. Regarding learning more about the Northeast, I'm afraid now, what is it, GPT, Chat GPT. No, I'm serious in the sense that so little comes out even in the press, just as he mentioned. The news that comes out is quite slanted. It doesn't give the whole picture. It doesn't give the heart of what the people think. You may have to read up a lot about the history and whatever, and beware all the time that somebody is trying to project something else which may not be there. It's a devil. But I'd really welcome anybody here to come and visit us. It's a beautiful place. We've got lovely locations, very far from tourist places. So you'll see the real culture, enjoy the real hospitality of people.
Thank you, sir. Any more questions from the audience? Vinit?
So it is not a question, but just a comment that, of course, yeah. So the kids, they are like, they do not have a lot of facilities there. But I do appreciate that they are living in very beautiful part of the country and close to the nature. And that's what the people missing in the living in the cities, they generally miss. So yeah, that's really good to see.
That's a wonderful thing. A good observation. Really good observation. So you pointed, this is what my wife and I took from, in fact, Mizoram. They are not working for 20 years to get the dowry for their daughter. They are not waiting to get that 30-inch, 40-inch TV or concrete house. Their beauty is the family. You go to the fields, go to the forest, 5 o'clock in the evening, all sitting on the fire, bamboo hut, they may not even have a stool. So that is the wealth which we sometimes miss. That's a different type of wealth which I can say my wife and I picked up a lot from.
It showed that they received some medical support from government hospital during the COVID time.
Yes.
So are they still continuing, or what do you do, like if any student needs any medical assistance? So and there are some remote areas too. So how do you manage?
Yeah. So we do not intend to take over the government's job. That was a stage when it was desperate, and we did help because so many people, Azim Premji came to us, Tatas came to us. We want a trustworthy NGO which you can distribute, and they sent us truckloads of stuff. But under no circumstances, when the government's got to do their job, are we going to be giving their hospitals, things. That was a desperate situation. It required desperate answers. Regarding the remote places and even our own places, that is where we have established a connect with the civil administration, with the army, the Assam Rifles. We had a person who's was trying to do fishing, and they used explosives. So he tossed a explosive. It blew up in his hand. His hand was blown off. So we were able to literally get him to the army guys to get it treated properly, and then taken in. So to the best of our ability. By the way, we are now bringing to hire even a doctor for our organization, so even remotely or whatever. We are young and a small organization, so we cannot really spread our wings, but we'd love to do that. Yeah.
Sir, I have a question. You are an army guy.
Yeah.
And you served in the army for long.
Yeah.
These militants which are active in the northeastern parts, somehow they are managing the funds for these kinds of weapons, explosive and other things, which are major backbone for this level. And sometimes they need also the training for these. So as you have served in army, you might have countered these things for long. So have you, is there any different kind of, I want to know whether how can they arrange some kind, these kind of fundings and the weapons in these states, so where only army forces can have these things. How army is retaliating with this?
So you just raised the question. It's a very unfortunate situation in Manipur. Both sides, the weapons are there now. And it's not so easy. People just think that the border is you can have a fence and you can cover every inch of border. In reality, the border is hundreds of miles, hills, mountains, snow-capped thing, rivers, everything. You can't have a soldier everywhere. No matter what you do, you cannot prevent things from coming. So you can put checks on the roads, the commonly used paths and all that. So what you're saying is, I don't think any country in the world, including the United States, has been able to control that. We are, of course, trying our best between the police, the army, Assam Rifles, border roads, border security force, all that thing. They cannot be a foolproof thing. India doesn't have those type of resources. We barely have enough resources to keep in our borders than to be checking these things in our. This is the problem that I'm saying. When this violence is there, sucking in our soldiers from where they're supposed to be.
Training local people for these things, they can't be trained in that particular thing. They go somewhere else for these use of these weapons. So how can stop this kind of thing? There must be some training camps like they are getting.
Yeah, so a lot of the thing, this is another problem that is happening, that the borders are supposed to be guarded by the army. The army is not supposed to be doing the job of the civil police and whatever. Within the borders, it's supposed to be the CRPF, the police and whatever. The army is not trained to be going house to house and searching people and getting this thing done. They're meant for real tough fighting on the borders. So my answer to you is that the army, for two reasons. Firstly, that they're not supposed to be doing this. They're supposed to be somewhere else. And the second reason is that they're not trained for this. So I can't give you an answer. I think it's a civil administration. It's the government that has to give the answer of how we can stop it. Having said that, by the way, the army is not going to take any chances. Like in Manipur or wherever they are, they're going to be fighting the last bullet if they have to stop that. It's disappointing, I know, but.
So maybe, sir, last question I would like to ask.
Yes.
Since you mentioned about career counseling, I would like to know that how your students are, exposed to, regular schemes or various schemes of Government of India, like DST Inspire Fellowship or KVPI Fellowship, or, programs like Yuvika, which ISRO is running. So how your kids can be promoted to or exposed to this kind of.
So we got a deliberate team now for career counseling. Our team members go from state to state at least twice in the year to our schools and give a presentation of whatever they can. So that's the way it is being done. As we get more capacity and more support, we'll be able to do it. So lastly, I'd like to request that, sir, in any way we can be associated with this institution. I'd love to send some children here also to open their views. From here, I can send them to my Navy friends on the coast. Okay, so they get a different exposure. And lastly, thank you, everybody. I'm so sorry for making this. I think it's a bit drawn out for you if it is. Most welcome anytime to Manipur. You can take my details. They will be available here. Warmly welcome if you want to come as a volunteer to teach and really experience the place. Most welcome.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, sir, for this fantastic talk and congratulations for your efforts. I invite Vineet for vote of thanks. For that, Lokesh will do some other formality.
Thank you, sir, for the Vyakhyaan and the interaction session. As a present token of appreciation, I request our director to do the honor.
Beautiful, sir.
वो अच्छा इधर ऑडियंस के लिए इधर भी हैं और यूट्यूब ऑडियंस
Thank you. Thanks everybody watching. Yes. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Such a nice talk. And by the way, our, just for your students who are here, testing KRL or such kind of activities in Gujarat and in the district.
Lovely.
We send our board, faculties and students to nice camps. Can last for 2 to 3 days. Can do that for Manipur. Get some help from you to get such kind of thing. And we will be interested to continue.
Lovely, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Now I invite my colleague, Dr. Vinit, to present vote of thanks.
Okay. Yeah, so friends, so I'm sad to say that this brings us to the conclusion of today's Vyakhyaan, 81st Vyakhyaan. And I don't think we have been sadder because you took us to a journey to the northeastern part of the country to show the challenges people face. And so I would like to thank Professor Colonel REGO at first for giving an excellent talk today and trying to show what he is doing. And I, on behalf of PRL, thank you very much, sir, for uplifting the society. And so children, they are the key to the future. So you are educating them. And so it's a big effort, and we would all like to thank you for that. Thank you very much, sir. And yeah, also I would like to thank you to take so many questions from our audiences and answering them so wonderfully, so carefully. Thank you very much. And thank you everybody here present in this hall, so to all the audiences on YouTube as well as here, because it's your enthusiasm that makes all of these events a success. Yeah. So next, I would like to thank our director, Professor Anil Bhardwaj, for his constant encouragement and motivation to carry on with this event. Next, I thank Professor D. Pallam Raju, Dean PRL, for his support. And I would like to thank PRL Ka Amrut Vyakhyaan Committee Chair, Professor Nandita Srivastava, and Co-Chair, Professor Lokesh Sahu, for organizing everything for this Vyakhyaan and all the Vyakhyaan so nicely. And also, I would like to thank all the PRL Ka Amrut Vyakhyaan committee members. And with these words, I propose for the closure of today's program, and I would like to welcome you all for a cup of tea outside. Thank you all.